Local first. What are you localizing? Is it the power of marketing, the power of product? When you say local, just how much power and where are you going to vest that power the most geographically? Good morning.
Good morning, Menace. Good morning, Anne-Marie. Thank you for having me. Yes, I think it's a very important announcement that we made yesterday. The essence of this is that we found out really that the COVID pandemic has exacerbated a number of trends in the food sector. And the biggest of them is certainly the question of local. Sovereign governments are talking about local food sovereignty. Multinational environment is talking about the resilience of food systems as being founded on local, and consumers are going local. So for decades, we had these global category P&Ls, and they've been great doing that. But I think we've been probably hit by some of the trends in the COVID, and some of that has got to do with the structural weaknesses that we didn't address. So we have decided to pivot, indeed, as you just said, to geographies with one powerful unit of Danone entities, one and one only in each country, instead of 3 or 4 going to verticals, which will download the local decisions for capital expenditure, for brand development, for innovation, much closer to the market than we did before. Because we produce locally. Most of what we actually produce is consumed. 90% of our volumes are consumed locally. But we still think more too global. And so that's essentially what we're doing, which will pivot the roles of our central functions and therefore reduce their size, hence the savings that we expect from that plan.
Emmanuel, yesterday you admitted misuse of resources, and analysts are skeptical about this plan. One saying, we've been here with Ford Danone. We're not sure if this will really make a difference. How are you going to convince the market that this plan will actually work and you will be able to stem those structural changes?
Well, I think that's not a statement that's made, based on facts. The only significant global program that we had is a very important one that we did 3 years ago called Protein, that was about saving 1 billion euros out of our indirect spend. But that doesn't change anyway the way we work and how much, today we still have 5 instances to decide on most of our CapEx routine decision making. Tomorrow we will have 2. A brand like Activia still have 4 instances for discussion. Tomorrow we will have only 2. And so it's really about the savings on the way we work, which wasn't the case before. This is a big change, and the only big change of organization this company has ever made. And the other thing is that we're creating in parallel an end-to-end integrated value chain system that will also extract several hundred millions of euros out of efficiencies cross-category in the countries that we weren't able to attack while we were in the silos of categories.
Emmanuel, these are huge ambitions. The market is perhaps a little bit short of breath and short of time for you to execute. How much time do you give yourself to fully execute this gargantuan task?
Yes, well, it's not gargantuous. I think it's well planned and it will be well executed. I have absolutely no doubt on that. We've set teams apart to execute that plan and to deliver on the business in the same time, in parallel. We expect to start that in the early part of next year, with a full completion in the course of 2022, the first benefits of which will be in the second half of next year already, which means that we've said that we would return to profitable growth as soon as the second half of next year and set a target margin back to the pre-COVID levels for 22.
I want to just ask you, you kind of said yesterday a lot of these structural problems were there before the pandemic, but the pandemic has really shed light on them. Why then did it take the pandemic to force you to change, Emmanuel?
Well, because the company had been making huge progress on so many things. I mean, we've been the first ones to really go after the vegetal protein alternatives with the acquisition of White Wave. We've put together as One Planet, One Health ambition and put that into the brands as well, which is a huge sustainability platform for the future. We've delivered a 50% increase in the EPS of the company in the last 4 or 5 years. So, things were trending and we were working on many things. And so we knew that at some point in time, maybe we would have to change and this pivot. We are among the two only large companies that are still in silos of category P&Ls globally. But then the pandemic came. We've been severely hurt in the volumes of our water business, which is very much about mobility and nomadic and away from home. We face probably a dip in the birth rates for our early life nutrition and bigger costs in logistics in the ultra fresh short shelf life products that we carry in our vegetal and dairy fermented products. So all in all, it has shaken up, and we've decided this time to go for it.
Emmanuel, you also say that you've over-innovated. You must be the only CEO that I've met that berates innovation. But the essence of that is that you've got way too many products. So how much are you going to scale back on the product range, and where goes off the shelf first?
Yeah, well, we are probably going to go for 10 to 30% reduction, depending on countries and categories on our SKUs. And a super good example of what we did is what we did with Horizon Organic last year in the US, the leading organic milk brand in the US. We cut our SKUs by 30%. That freed 10% of additional output in the factories. We put that on the most growing SKUs, delivering double-digit growth and 250 bps improvement of the market share. So this is really a recipe for efficiency and focusing on what retailers need today, our partners, and same on e-commerce, which is a more efficient, a lower passing bandwidth, basically. So the trend for the smaller brands, all the nice little innovation that was for the last several years and that worked very well for us, I think is over for at least a time. And that's why we're reducing our SKU portfolio as many of our competitors did.